Hello, my name's Paul Hand. I'm an engineer with Essex Highways responsible for the inspections in the south area of the county. Essex Highways undertake a routine process of inspections of all the highways over the period of a year, and my inspectors go out and they look at the condition of the road, the condition of the footways, and where they come across defects, they will undertake what is called a risk assessment. They will look at the particular defect, they will determine the likelihood of highways users interacting with that defect and what the outcome or the impact could be. The result of that risk assessment will determine the priority in which we deal with that particular defect. Essex Highways works to a maintenance strategy which determines investigatory levels and other factors that we have to work to when we undertake our inspections, be they routine or whether it's a result of customer inquiries. For carriageway surface, the investigatory level is 50mm depth and 75mm in any planned direction. If the imperfection does not meet that criteria, then we do not consider it to be a defect that needs our attention at this time. Every road surface has imperfections in it. There's no road surface that is absolutely perfect. Now, a lot of people will report potholes in the road, and when we come along to look at it, either by as a means of a routine inspection or as a result of picking up inquiries from members of the public, one of the things that we have to look at is whether or not it meets the investigatory level. Now, if we look at this particular imperfection in the road surface, a lot of people will say that this is actually a pothole. But if we were to measure this, the depth on this particular imperfection here is around about 20 to 30mm, which actually does not meet our investigatory level, and therefore we would not be recording this as a defect. Certainly is an imperfection in the road surface, but according to our strategy is not a defect. This is a good example of a P4 defect. As you can see, at its deepest point it's approximately 50mm, where the joint in the carriageway is starting to fail. Because of its position in the carriageway, it's very unlikely traffic would be interacting with it, and if they did, it's not really going to cause any problems at all from any type of road user. Therefore, this would be a good example of a P4 defect of a very low priority. This particular defect we have here, we would classify it as a P3 defect because it's very much in the wheel run of cars, and it's also in a situation where pedal cycles would also interact with it. This defect here is an example of another P3 defect. Dimensions here are approximately 400mm by 300mm and about 55mm deep. But where we look at this, it's pretty much in the centre of the carriageway on the junction, and it's not quite in the wheel line, so the probability would be slightly lower than something in the wheel line, and consequently would be still at a P3 but a slightly lower level. This particular defect here is about 400mm wide, about a metre long, but the overall depth is just over 80mm, which is only 30mm above our investigatory level. However, when we look at this particular road, which is not that wide, we would look at the probability of vehicles interacting with this particular defect, which would be quite high. If a vehicle did drive through this, it's fairly obvious that there's quite a high potential for damage to a wheel rim. We would look to have this type of defect repaired reasonably quickly, and our risk assessment I would suggest would show it as something of the order of a P2 priority.